Thanks so much, Anita. Welcome, family, friends, and guests, and especially my hosts. May the wind be always at your back, but not a tropical storm force. The story that I'm going to tell is called Just One Wish, and the setting is near the Giant's Causeway. And for those visitors, the Giant's Causeway is a natural wonder in the northeast corner of Ireland of some 40,000 hexagonal-shaped columns of black basalt rock. It was caused by cooling and contracting magma. We don't consider Ireland and the Ring of Fire together, but at one time the world was a very different place. Per legend, the Irish giant Finn MacCool in Gaelic, or Finn MacCool, called the Giant's Causeway home. He had a rival giant in Scotland across the land bridge called Benadonner. Finn went to go fight his foe, but returned when he saw Benadonner's even larger size. And when he learned Benadonner was coming to battle him, he asked his wife Saba for assistance. Now, Saba dressed Finn as a baby and placed him in a makeshift cradle. When Benadonner arrived, "Where's Finn?" "He's out!" And when Benadonner got a size of this, look at the size of this baby, he feared what the size of a grown man must be, and so he fled back to Scotland, destroying the causeway between them in the process. Finally, in an act of defiance, Finn ripped a piece of sod and he hurled it towards Scotland. But of course, it fell short and landed in the Irish Sea. And that became the Isle of Man, and the piece of sod became Lough Neagh. Jackie and Nancy O'Gorman lived in County Antrim and were somewhat superstitious, with a healthy respect for the wee folk. The young couple lived with Jackie's parents, Kelly and Bridget, on a comfortable and fertile farmhouse overlooking the Giant's Causeway. Life was good. Kelly was older, but was able to help with many light tasks around the farm. Bridget was a Shawnee and told many Irish stories as she gladly watched her three granddaughters. Nancy found her help to be invaluable as she awaited the birth of her fourth child. "If this child is a boy, there will be much rejoicing in this house," noted Kelly, who longed to see a grandson before he died. "If it's a boy, the cradle will have to be closely guarded, for the fairies are always looking for boys to fight in the fairy wars." Bridget knew that not long ago on nearby Rathlin Island, a healthy baby boy had been spirited away and a miserable changeling left in his place. Nancy shuddered. The idea of losing a child was unthinkable. Jackie loved his three daughters dearly, but it was his wish to have a son too. He imagined a son that would grow up tall and strong, help him work the farm, and eventually take over the family farm as he had done from his father. He envisioned taking his son by the hand and looking out over the sea from the high field in the back of the farmhouse. There he would tell him the tale of Finn MacCool. That night, Jackie had a very strange dream. He found himself seated on a column of rock at the water's edge of the causeway when suddenly a Selkie had appeared. Now the Selkie were rarely seen, but were a seal people, capable of talking and walking, always longing for a life on land when they were in the sea, and a return to the sea when they were on land. The Selkie looked Jackie straight in the eye. "You are longing for a male child, Jackie O'Gorman. Take a look around you. There are thousands of six-sided columns like the one you are sitting on. But between us there is an eight-sided column shaped like a shallow bowl. If your wife Nancy drinks the water from it, she will give birth to a son." Jackie awoke. The vividness of the dream astonished him. He wondered if he should discuss it with Nancy, but decided against it. And yet after that afternoon, after completing his chores, he walked down to the causeway and found the exact spot where the Selkie had spoken to him. And he did see an eight-sided column with some water sloshing inside. He also noticed some seal heads bobbing in the water offshore. And so he went home to get a mug to scoop the water out. "What's in the mug, Daddy?" asked his eldest when he returned. "Just some special water for a drink." Just then Kelly shouted that two cows had broken down the gate leading to the potato patch. Jackie set down the mug on a shelf to tend to his gate and crop. No sooner had he left than his daughter awkwardly reached up for the mug, accidentally spilling it over. Fearing her father's reaction, she quickly refilled it from a pitcher and placed it back on a shelf. Later that evening, Jackie discussed his dream with Nancy. Both felt there would be nothing wrong with drinking the water, so Nancy took the mug and drank it all. The following day, Nancy gave birth to a girl. Jackie's disappointment at not having a son was overshadowed by the love and beauty of the new arrival. Bridget ascended the stairs to get a look at her newest granddaughter, but as soon as her eyes met the eyes of the baby, her power of speech suddenly left her. When she opened her mouth, no words of love or joy could be uttered. Everyone thought that the excitement of the birth must have overwhelmed her and her voice would shortly return. But it was not to be. Weeks passed, then months, and a year went by without any change. Bridget's soothing voice and many Irish stories were sorely missed. But there was still more shocking news awaiting the O'Gorman household. Around this time, it was discovered that the baby girl, now named Siobhan, was unable to hear. It broke her parents' hearts. Siobhan would not hear the singing birds on a spring morning or the crackling in a fire on a winter's night. Jackie cursed the day he ever took water from the causeway and vowed never to return there again. But as fate would have it, neighbors reported timbers from a shipwreck washing ashore. The beams would make excellent lumber for a small shed he intended to build. And so he walked to the causeway, and as he was struggling with the heavy beam, a Selkie had appeared. "Don't you dare speak to me, Selkie! You took my daughter's hearing and my mother's speech."
"That is where you are wrong, Jackie O'Gorman. Your wife Nancy never drank the water from here."
"Oh, yes, she did. I gave it to her with my own hands."
"This is no time to argue. We have waited a long time for you to return to us. We will grant one wish and one wish only. Return here at the same time tomorrow after you've discussed it with your family."
First, neither Nancy nor his parents believed Jackie's story, but he was unlike himself. Later, Kelly, "If what you tell us is true, son, then go to the shore tomorrow and wish that your mother regain her speech. She has been a wonderful wife and mother, and this affliction is slowly killing her." Later, Nancy confronted Jackie and asked that Siobhan's hearing be corrected. "You have a chance to have her healed. I know you love your mother, but our child must come first." Jackie also thought selfishly of his own desire for a son, and so as he left the following day, after a restful night of sleep, he ducked under a hazel tree as the skies opened. Now, the hazel leaf is considered to have supernatural powers, and so Jackie reached up and plucked a leaf and put it on his head before he readjusted his cap. And after a moment, the skies lessened and Jackie resumed his walk. When he arrived at the spot,
"I am glad you believed and trusted in me, Jackie O'Gorman. Now what is your one wish that will certainly come true?"
Jackie stood there and stammered, and he said, I wish that my daughter can hear my mother tell my son that she loves him."
"You have made an inspired wish, and it is my pleasure to tell you that it has already been granted. Home with you now, where shouts of joy and peals of laughter will await and greet you."
And come to pass it did, and there was not a happier family along the coast of the Giant's Causeway. Thanks so much. Be good, be safe.